So I was getting nervous there. I was getting real nervous. Because it's just been, y'all know it's been rough lately. But, like Coop said, just got to play our game. And that's what happens. Things like tonight happen when we play our game, when we continue to play our game. We'll take the win all day. So, Bolts win, obviously, 6-1. 6-1. It was wild. Wow. So we're going to talk about the win, obviously. A couple other things as well. The McDonough extension, real quick. A little bit of back on track, because I wanted to touch more on just the play of the last few games and tonight as well. Last night, technically. Because this one will air. But and then, of course, we're going to finish off with the patented what-if scenario. So let's go ahead and just dive right into this recap, huh? So, yeah, Bolts rebound from a tough 4-game skid to defeat Montreal 6-1 on the road. Now they're 1-1 on this latest road trip. Bolts now have a 1-point lead back at the top of the Atlantic at 36 points to Detroit's 35. The Canadians are 3 points behind the Bolts and in fourth at the moment at 33 points. A 3-goal first period led to a 3-0 lead after 20 minutes. Braden Point's fourth goal of the campaign. He's back now. He's missed a few games. He scored less than 2.5 minutes into the game, so we'll take that all day. Unassisted goal for Pontus Holmberg, his second of the season, and Kuch's 13th towards the end of the first period did lead to that initial 3-0 mark. A goal apiece was scored by both teams in the second period. Charles Albert de Astus notched his third goal of the campaign almost 3 minutes into the second to give the Bulls a 4-0 lead. However, that was cut with about 1 minute left in the period when Oliver Kapanen scored his 6th of the year to cut it to 4-1. Then the third period, icing on the cake. Darren Radish, who has been revitalized, you could say, over these last few weeks, especially being on that top pair with Moser and... Not Moser and, just Moser. He scored 2 goals in the final period, his 4th and 5th of the campaign. So while the Bolts' 27 shots on goal led to 6 goals, the Canadians had the same amount, 27 shots, but Jojo stopped 26 of them. So we'll take that all day. Radish, it was his 200th career game. So 2 goals, 3 hits, 24 minutes, 26 seconds of time on ice. That led all Bolts defensemen. In the wake of these rash of blue line injuries, it's really nice to see him step up and really take that next step forward. And hopefully this run is sustainable and it's continued, because if I'm being honest with y'all, fully locked in, fully healthy, he could be in the top 6 still. We're now having an issue with we might have too much good depth. So it might really come down to him, Lilleberg. Sorry, y'all. Him, Lilleberg, and D'Astus for that last spot, to be honest with you. It's just... I don't know. It's kind of wild. But yeah, so Scott Saborn was also recalled from Syracuse for another stint with the Bolts ahead of the win. He did get in a fight towards the end of the game. Only played 8:26 on the night, but had a +1, +-. So we'll take that. Not a bad game from him at all. Once again, another stint for him. So who knows how long he'll be up this time. Assist on the night, Gunsel had his 15th. Bjorky had his 8th. Crozier had his 4th. Cirelli had his 9th. Point had his 9th. And Kuch had his 23rd. So, looking like he wants that trophy again. It's certainly possible. Well, he's playing. Jojo played again tonight, right? He back-to-back. He started both games. So, usually Coop doesn't do that. Obviously, but hey, Vasi's hurt. And maybe he didn't want to have Halverson in goal, so Jojo's just doing his best Vasi impersonation right now. I mean, the current number one goalie, was excellent once again. He saw 26 shots for a .963 save percentage. 2 more games on the road trip against the Devils and Islanders. Don't be surprised to see him start both, because they're not back-to-backs. So, if he's in net, gives the Bolts a couple more games to see what they have and see how long Vasi's going to be out, because, once he got put in the IR, it's a minimum of 7 days. D'Astus, though, excellent night. So as well, in addition to Radish's great night. So he shot 5 times in addition to a +5 +-. And then he has 30 NHL goals. So, Coop's going to have some problems when it comes to getting everyone healthy and where everyone's going to play, because this team has really, really gotten a lot deeper. The depth has just been tremendous, in all honesty. So if that continues, watch out, because we're going to have some issues. Speaking of depth and injuries at the moment, we are going to talk a little bit about the Mack truck, Ryan McDonagh. So yeah, he did sign an extension, 3-year extension, $12.3 million, so about $4.1 million AAV. He's going to run him all the way through age 39. So this is kind of like the Gord deal. Yanni signed that 6-year deal this offseason, but it's going to take him to 40 years old. So, McDonagh, this is things where he's 39. I think, everything goes the way it should. He'll probably retire then. It should allow him to retire as a Bolt, which is fantastic. He's going to be here the next 3 years as well. He is on the IR, and it's not known when he's going to be back. Should be hopefully next month, if not sooner than that. There's still definitely a spot for him in this lineup fully healthy, though. Despite being out since the beginning of November, he has a trio of both goals and assists. An average time on ice of 20 minutes and 10 seconds, the third highest time on ice on average behind Moser and Hedman. So, we'll take that all day. He did say a couple things that were pretty cool. He said this right after the extension was announced. He said, it means a lot. A top team wanting you to be a part of it, putting their belief in you, it motivates you to go out and perform at the level that's expected of you. I take a lot of pride in being a dependable player and someone the coaching staff and players can trust. I put wrong thing in my notes. And it's cool because you can clearly see that this is Tampa's his family's home. And, when he got traded a couple years ago, a lot of people didn't like that. So, obviously, a lot of people were massive fans when Prevoi came back and brought him back. And, the cool thing is with the cap continuing to rise over the next few years, especially these projections, it's not going to be a big piece of their cap, this $4.1 million. Sorry, folks. But yeah, he's really made a long-term home with his family. When he returned to the Bolts after that trade to bring him back from Nashville, Thunderbug sent his kids a video, which that was pretty cool, welcoming them back to Tampa. And McDonagh also talked about in the press conference just how special Tampa is to him and his family. He said, this place is special in many ways. You can find a lot of places to work in this world, but it's the people that make it truly special. And this place has a lot of special people from the top down, which makes it such a great place to show up to work every day, give it your all, and leave it all out there. So, we talked about before the season, resigning McDonagh then, finding a way to work out an extension. That's done. That's over done with. So that's one more free agent that the Bolts could have potentially had next summer off the board and staying home, which is fantastic. This is exactly what we want to see. We want to see McDonagh stay home. So we have been in a bit of a rut lately. Getting the Mack truck back would be nice, but I think it's possible we could have rided it tonight, right? We won 7 in a row, lost 4 in a row, won against the Canadiens, 6-1. So a few days ago, remember, Coop said this team just needed to keep playing their type of hockey, their brand of hockey, because sometimes things don't go your way. You can do everything right in this game. Honestly, any sporting event, you can do everything right and you still lose. So, it seemed to pay off with this win over Montreal. And there's a big one for the Bolts. 4-game losing streak snapped. Sorry. We could be back on track. However, remember before we went on this winning streak, we had a bit of a up and down to 1-1, lost 1, 1-1, lost 1, back and forth. I don't want to see that here. I'd love to see wins over the Isles and Devils to close out this series, because here's the thing. The Isles have already won their season series against us. There's only one game left, and that's in a couple of days. If we win that, we can salvage the season series. 2-1 loss stings, but it's better than a 3-0. Meanwhile, the victory over New Jersey, the Devils, will give us a 2-1 season series win over them. So I will take that all day. I'll also take going home with a 3-1 road trip, because that's something that can really help us in the standings. JoJo's been playing absolutely bonkers. All right, remember that. He started 3 games since Vasily went out. 957 save percentage, 1.00 goal allowed average. All right. he's really impressed this year and gotten a lot better. It could be a matter of time before another team calls and offers him their number one spot, to be honest with y'all. And I hope that continues. I hope he continues to play well. Because, before the season I was really questioning the goalie depth. Now, feeling quite a bit better about it. So, there's another area that the Bulls could address always, and y'all already know what it is. It's going to be the offense. And Kirby Dach is a name that intrigues me. He is out right now. We'll talk about that here shortly. But he's a young guy. He's not even 25 yet. He's still 24. He's a young guy that can really come in and contribute, but he has to stay healthy, which is something he hasn't really done throughout his career so far. He was the 2019 third overall pick by the Blackhawks, spent the first 3 seasons of his career there, and then he went to Montreal before the 2022-23 season. He's never played an 82-game season, though. Never played a full 82 games. Only played over 60 twice, both of those times with the Blackhawks. He's not reached that plateau in Montreal yet. In 3 seasons in Montreal, he's played in 58 games his first year, 2 games in his second year, injuries, and 57 games. So in those 57 games last year, 1540 time on ice, negative 29 plus minus. He's not a defensive guy. He's almost strictly an offensive player. But every team needs those kind of players, and the Bolts could use it even after the win tonight. We were shooting so much the last few games that nothing was going in. We can always use more shooters. So 57 games last year, 22 points, 10 goals, 12 assists. So his best season was his first in Montreal. He had 38 points, 14 goals, and 24 assists, and a negative 2 plus minus and 1829 time on ice during that season a couple years ago. So, right now he's on the IR with a fractured foot. In 15 games this year, negative 2 plus minus, 14 minutes time on ice. 14:01 really, but 14 minutes basically. 7 points, 5 goals, and 2 assists. So, clearly a guy that can really come in and contribute, but he's got to be healthy. And that is literally the number one question. He's making $3.36 million this year, roughly. Last year of his deal will be a UFA next summer. It's interesting to see what he's going to be offered and what he's worth, because he's shown plenty of flashes when he's healthy, but that's the thing. When he's healthy, really hasn't been that healthy. So, I'd love to see him get healthy and play, because I feel like fully healthy, he could be a good piece along with all the other young guys we have. So, very interesting to see. Very interesting to consider even how Kirby Dach would really impact our lineup if healthy. So, that's why we talk about it, right? Tomorrow, going to be fun. We're previewing the final Devils matchup of the season. Wow. Also had a couple injury updates, a couple other updates involving Syracuse. So, yeah, another busy one tomorrow. This is Jordan Llanes signing off, and I will see y'all mañana. Have a good one.